I'm Marion Jones. Welcome to Second Wind, the podcast where rigor meets reinvention. Each Tuesday, we'll be sitting down with celebrities, influencers, and everyday heroes for a raw and real conversation about overcoming adversity. We'll dive deep into their personal journeys of transformation, from turmoil to triumph, and everything in between. So, set a reminder, grab a coffee, and tune in every week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast for your dose of inspiration as we help you catch your second wind.
I found a kid who swings a golf club like a dream. I'd like to try to qualify him for the U.S. Amateurs.
Coming to Apple TV+.
What's your name?
I'm not into older guys, but I'm flattered.
A new comedy series, Stick.
I don't want to go on this trip.
Your mouth's saying one thing, but those eyes are saying something else.
From the home of Ted Lasso.
This is your shot at redemption? This is your mulligan?
Owen Wilson.
This game takes and it takes. The game's finally giving me something back.
Stick.
You know Arnold Palmer?
Iced tea, lemonade, mix it.
I'm missing a nap for this.
Streaming June 4th on Apple TV+.
This is Hear Her Sports, the female athlete podcast for everyone who loves stories by and about women. In each episode, I introduce a female athlete or a woman in the business of sport. I talk to women from all over and from lots of different sports. They share what they've learned from their sport, tips that you and I can use in our own training and in our lives. I am your host, Elizabeth Emery. Hello and welcome. Today, I am lucky enough to have cyclist Megan Jastrab here, or here again, I should say. Megan was on the show back in 2017 when she was only 15 years old and racing as a junior. She was certainly successful at that point, and she has been successful since then. Megan is a 3-time junior world champion, and she won a bronze medal in the team pursuit on the track at the Tokyo Olympics. Megan now is a full-time professional bike racer with Team Picnic Post NL based out of Holland, where she lives. I invited Megan back on the show to talk about her experiences at La Vuelta Femenina, a week-long stage race that wrapped up on May 10th. But since she was here, I couldn't help asking her about more than just that race. We talk about achieving her 15-year-old dreams, living in Europe, the opportunities in women's cycling now versus 10 years ago, TV coverage, and if La Vuelta Femenina should be called a Grand Tour. This is something I also spoke to Iris Slappendel, a Eurosport commentator, about in episode 176. Enjoy. I hope you share this and Megan's previous episode with your daughters. Let's welcome pro cyclist Megan Jastrab. Well, hi, Megan. This is absolutely incredible. Thank you for joining me again. We're going to be talking about La Vuelta Femenina, the Tour of Spain. But you've been on the podcast before. It was episode 18, and you were 15. I mean, oh my gosh, that was so long ago.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, it's so crazy to think back to the first time I was on the podcast. And yeah, I went bouldering with a friend yesterday and they were like, "How old are you?" And I was like, 23. And it was like, I had to take a second to realize I'm old now. I'm not a baby.
No, you're not old.
Feels old now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you've had a ton of success as an elite since that time because you were still racing as a junior. One of the things that we talked about was moving up to the elite class and, success. I mean, super success for listeners out there who don't know. I mean, you've had an Olympic medal, for example, and a bunch of other stuff. And I know we're going to talk about La Vuelta mostly, but before we do that, could you give listeners sort of a brief update, I guess, from 10 years ago? But just for starters, you're a professional racer now and you're with Team Picnic Post NL. But where are you living? What's it like living in Europe or whatever else you want to update?
Yeah, I think the last time I was on the podcast, I would have been still in high school. So yeah, I went to university. During that time, I raced with Team USA as a junior, won a couple junior world titles, signed a World Tour contract with my current team. It was called DSM a few years ago. And then, yeah, I also competed at the Tokyo Olympics and came away with a bronze medal in the team pursuit and 9th place in the first ever women's Madison at the Olympics. And currently I'm racing for a World Tour team, the one I've been with for the last 5 years, and living in the Netherlands full time. I go back to the US in the off season, but that's only a couple weeks out of the year. So yeah, racing in the World Tour, racing for Team USA. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think back to, these were all the dreams that my 15-year-old self said I wanted to achieve. So yeah, I'm living my dream, to say it.
Yeah. One of the things that you did say is like, I'd like to go to Europe. and now,
Yeah.
and now you're living there. What is it like? I mean, does it live up to what you expected?
Yeah, it's not as different as I was expecting. I think it was hyped up to be something that was like you're going to be homesick all the time. It's going to be completely different. But yeah, the language barrier is sometimes an issue. But in the Netherlands, everyone speaks perfect English, I think. You always ask her, like, oh, do you speak English? Or you can ask in Dutch, like, can we speak in English? And they're always like, oh, just a little bit. Then they continue on with fluent English. And sometimes I'm like, I feel like you're speaking English better than I am. And it's crazy. But I think it's definitely a cool experience to live in a different culture and experience this at such a young age.
I love seeing that so many women cyclists are living in Europe now because when I was racing, I mean, that was many years ago, but it just wasn't done. I mean, I don't know why exactly that was, but it seems like such an obvious thing to do.
Yeah, I think if you're racing like at the UCI continental level or world tour level, you have to be in Europe. If you're racing on the US scene, yeah, of course you can live in the US, but as soon as you're in the world tour, there's so many race days that you have to compete in, and just the travel and logistics. One, it's way too expensive, and two, it's just not performance enhancing with the time zone changes, the travel days. So yeah, it's not really an option for like North Americans or Australians, Kiwis to not be living in Europe when the season is going on.
Are you living with a bunch of other racers?
No, I actually have my own place, but the team provides these apartments in like the neighborhood. So like all my neighbors are my teammates. Not all of them, but yeah, they have like a little apartment complex. So I have some friends and teammates around the area.
Yeah,
But
so
I
you're
do
not
have my
isolated.
own. Yeah, so it's nice. I can be social or I can be by myself. So I have my own kitchen, own room and everything. So I don't need to worry about stepping on other people's toes, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't live out of a suitcase in Europe like some Americans do when they come over. So it's really nice.
Yeah. And are you supporting yourself with racing? And I asked that only because in the last time we spoke, you were like, I have to have another career because you cannot support yourself racing.
No, I think I'm very fortunate at my age and the year of cycling for women right now. Yeah, I can do cycling full time. Like it's my job. I'm on salary. There's minimum wages in the Women's World Tour. So yeah, I definitely don't have to work a second job to sustain this lifestyle, which is pretty incredible because I think whenever I was speaking with you last time, or even just like 5, 6 years ago, even a few years ago, a lot of women had to work a second job to make this their life. So yeah, I'm really fortunate that women's cycling is progressing so much, and that's a lot. And thanks to like the Women's Tour de France coming back, getting more TV time, more sponsors, and more investors investing in women's sports. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Well, also thanks to sort of regulations, like you mentioned, the minimum salary. I mean, that's such a huge development.
Yeah, it's good for a lot of things, but it's also a shame because some of the smaller teams at continental levels have to go away because there is still not that equal funding across the board. So some teams are not able to keep their doors open and keep providing for certain athletes because, yeah, the minimum wages is just too expensive for them. So it's a shame to see on that end of the spectrum, but also it's nice to have these for a lot of reasons. Two viewpoints. Like one, it's great that we have a minimum wage, but also like at the lower level continental teams, when they have a minimum wage, they're normally just scraping by, just getting people to races, and they don't have the funds to pay salary. So then they have to close.
That's the next step.
Yeah.
Figure that level out.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still fun? I mean, do you still love bike racing?
Yeah, I think the sport is definitely too hard if I didn't love it. There's days that I love it less, especially with the crashes and injuries. I think that's my least favorite part of the racing in this career. But yeah, I always look back on the bad days and I'm like, okay, I still am getting to do what I love. I'm on my bike, I'm outside, I'm living in Europe, and I know this career isn't going to be for my entire life. So I'm just trying to remember to enjoy each day and all the opportunities it brings because yeah, it's pretty incredible, all the places I've traveled to now.
Yeah, definitely. And what was the transition like? Again, we talked to you last time when you were 15, and here you are, you're now totally a professional at the elite level. How was it moving from that point to this point in terms of, being able to manage the field and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it went so fast for me. Now looking back, I'm like, whoa, that was 6, 7 years ago, some of the races I was talking about to friends. And yeah, I just didn't think about it. always am someone who's like, oh, I'll take every opportunity you can get. Anything that you're presented, just take it with both hands and go full gas for it. And yeah, from like the last time I talked with you, like I think it was like the Amy D Foundation, they gave me a platform to race. And then I got scouted by like Rally Cycling, now Human Powered Health. And I went to like a pro camp with them and then signed with them for my last 2 years as juniors, won some junior world titles, went to university, got an email from the Olympic team saying like, hey, move to Colorado Springs. We think you can make the Tokyo Olympics. And it was just like, this is so exciting. This is everything that I wanted, and what I'm training for, what I'm working for. And yeah, I just didn't think about the fears or the what if, like what nots. I just was like, what if? So I think that always helped. And then, yeah, there's definitely hard moments where it didn't go smooth. But yeah, I think the transition for me, like I wasn't ever like scared. I was more excited. And I think that helped make it a bit easier. And then like there wasn't pressure from the teams to be like, okay, if you don't do this, like you're off the team or something. Like I had a contract. I wasn't on contract year or anything. So it made the transition a bit more relaxed. At the same time, I really love to race and compete. So it was motivating for me, like having to step up to be like, oh my gosh, I'm racing with these people that I watch on TV. And I'm in the field. I'm chasing them down and working for the team, or I'm doing a lead out, or I'm racing for the win myself. So yeah, the transition was pretty smooth, I think.
And was the transition to riding with the elite peloton smooth? I mean, you've always been good in the peloton, and you're a sprinter, so I expect it was not tough.
Yeah, I don't think it was as tough of a transition as some have it, but I think that's also fortunate for me because I grew up racing in the US. I was able to race with the pro women in the US and then jump across to the world tour in Europe, which isn't allowed in Europe. Whenever you are a junior cyclist in like the Netherlands, for instance, you can only race your category, like your junior age group. So then when you get out of juniors, you go straight into the elites and you have no experience racing with the elites or the longer races. Whereas I raced my junior category, I raced the pro women, I sometimes raced the pro men in the US. So I think that also gave me a bit of an easier transition looking back now.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about La Vuelta. What was your overall impression this year? And is this your first year doing it?
No, I've done all the Grand Tours for women, actually.
Okay.
This was my third one. I didn't finish the first one. I went into it very sick, and that was not a good time. But I've done it one other time back in 2022, I think, and then now this year. So yeah, it was a really nice race. We thought it was going to be a bit hotter, so I did a lot of heat training on the indoor trainer and suffered a lot. And then we get there and it was raining every day. So not the best prep, but yeah, it was still a really nice team we had going there. We had a lot of big ambitions with sprint days and then for the GC as well for some of our younger riders. But overall, it was a really fun trip with the team, especially starting with the team time trial. It's such a unique race that you don't get to do a lot. We don't have a lot of time trials anymore anyways, but to have a team time trial is always special.
I love the team time trial. To me, that is like, it's just the best event ever.
Yeah, it's really hard, and it was a
so
short
hard.
one through the streets, like the city of Barcelona. And yeah, it wasn't technical or anything, but it was just so short. So with starting with 7 riders at the Vuelta, like everyone's going like full gas. Like when you're on the front, you're basically sprinting, it feels like sometimes. But yeah, it was really nice. Even though we didn't have a lot of time to train together as a team, we rode really well together, and it was a nice result.
Yeah, you got 6, didn't you? Is that
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's great. And you got to sit in the hot seat for a while even.
Yeah, exactly. We finished and we're like, oh, okay, like cool. And then we're like, maybe. And then some teams started coming through that we were like, oh, they're going to beat us. They're going to beat us. And then we were still there and we're like, oh, good job, girls. Like this is way better than, because like you really don't know when you go kind of early in the heats, like you don't know what your time is compared to other people. We knew we had a clean ride, but we were like, okay, like these teams they train together. They're more of the favorites. And then they just kept ticking them off one by one. And we're like, oh, okay, this is actually really good. And so it was a nice start.
What's it like sitting on the hot seat and sitting there? I mean, like, do you have all the things that you need? Like, I always think, give that person a jacket.
It wasn't cold, thankfully, but we had our soignier and stuff. So we had the recovery drinks and stuff.
Good.
But yeah, if it was a longer TT or you're stuck there for a long, long time, it's a bit a bit hard to go from a full gas effort and then just stop instantly and sit it down. Like normally you go straight to the trainer and you spit out the lactate and prepare for the next day. So the longer it takes to, the longer you're there spending, like the less recovery you get for the next day. But it's still a really nice thing, especially sitting there with the whole team.
So you got fifth in one of the sprints. Tell me about that and what happened. And you had some other little difficult moments in the sprint in an earlier day. So talk a little bit about those finishes.
Yeah, so the first real stage, so stage 2 after the team time trial, was the first sprint opportunity. And it started out with the 10K climb, which was a bit brutal, but there was a lot of time to come back afterwards. But thankfully, I made it over in the front group, and then it was just full focus for the first day. And yeah, it was raining and a technical descent, so the group was all split up, lots of roundabouts, and I was able to find my way to the front in the final and be in a really nice position to sprint for the podium. And I was pretty confident with the slight uphill drag that I was like, okay, this is a podium place. Sadly, another rider came up the inside and took I don't know if she didn't notice the speed she was going at or just, yeah, was tired at the end of a race and just completely slid out right in front of me. So I saw her out the corner of my eye and just started braking right away because I just saw that she was going to crash. So that was really disappointing to be there and then have that opportunity taken away. And then, yeah, so then refocus for the next day. And then that was already another sprint opportunity. And yeah, it was really nice. The team positioned me really well. There was a lot of crosswinds or potential for crosswinds and echelons earlier in the stage. So we rode really well together and just made sure that it came down to a sprint and that our GC rider was protected as well. And then, yeah, in the final, we decided that my 2 lead out riders would kind of more do a lead out earlier than a normal standardized lead out because it was so technical with the roundabouts that you needed to enter this one roundabout with like 2.7K to go, I think it was. And from there, like it would just stayed strung out the entire time. So they got me there first and second through that roundabout. And then, yeah, I was just kind of myself positioning for the final. And yeah, I made a little mistake. I haven't rode a final in a long time. So I made a mistake and just followed the wrong wheel that opened up a gap the last turn and then tried to close the gap. But yeah, it was a bit too much. So in the end, I got fifth, which was really nice at the same time because I haven't been in the finals for a while with some injuries the last year and stuff. So that was really exciting actually to be there.
What are your expectations going into these sprints? I mean, are you aiming to win? Can you win?
I was definitely aiming to win. I think if you don't aim to win, then you're going in with the wrong mindset.
Sure.
Yeah, I knew that I'm not the fastest sprinter, but yeah, bike racing is so unpredictable sometimes. Like I know some people watch and they're like, okay, the same people win every single time. Maybe for the men, there's more unpredictability. It's not predictable, but for the women, I think, yeah, with technical finishes, you can always surprise yourself even if you're not the fastest sprinter, if you get the jump or you come from behind or someone hesitates, you can get those couple bike lengths right away. And that can make the difference of winning, losing, getting second, third. But I definitely was like confident that I could get a podium. And I think I should have got podiums at the Vuelta. So it's a bit bittersweet. Like it was nice to be there. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, I missed out on some opportunities.
Yeah, talk about that. Like, what do you take away? You know, the happiness that you got the fifth, but also thinking, like you mentioned a mistake, you mentioned bittersweet. Like, what are you now thinking about?
Yeah, I think because I'm not the fastest sprinter out there, like even on my team, I'm not the fastest sprinter. So a lot of times I'll be part of the lead out or working for other teammates. I'm definitely not a climber, so I'm not going for like the mountain stages. And then a lot of the races I was going for like leadership roles this year, I was sick or injured. So a lot of the opportunities were taken away just for the instances that I wanted to go for. And yeah, it's really hard to go into a race and be like, okay, here's your opportunity. And I was like, okay, I was prepared well. I was excited for it. And then you just look back and you're like, okay, like I was there, but you're just missing that little step. And I know it'll come, but yeah, you train so much for a couple race opportunities, and then to make a mistake, like not seeing whose wheel you're on and then being like, oh, I should have, looking back at the video, you're like, okay, I should have just gone around or moved up one more position or gone on the inside or gone left or right, just like split second decisions. So yeah, I think, but for me at the same time, like I was injured all of last year, and this spring I was in the finals because of injuries and sickness also. So like to be in the final, I remember at the Vuelta, like saying to the director afterwards, I was like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done this, but it was happening so fast. I forgot how fast the finals go. Like normally, like in the middle of the race or whatever like that, or in a lead out, you're like, okay, you have like 3K, 2K, 1K. But in the sprints, I was like, oh man, we're at 1K. Oh, it's 300 meters to go. Oh, we're sprinting. So I think that was also nice to remember and feel that adrenaline, like be fully absorbed, but also a reminder to take a moment and look around at the same time, and that realizing it's going to go by quicker than I expect it to be.
You mentioned the slipperiness and the rain. How nerve-wracking is that? I mean, is that something that you think about a lot, or just, you manage it?
Yeah, you definitely have people who are more comfortable on the bike, descending, cornering, whatever, and then the rain adds a completely different element. If you don't decide to ride rain pressure before a race or something like that, that also adds an element of like concern because, yeah, whenever it's supposed to rain, you'll lower the tire pressure, so you just get more traction. And yeah, you can see people who trust their tires, who have better tires than others, or just are comfortable. I used to be really confident in the bunch, descending, cornering, everything. But yeah, I've had some pretty bad crashes in the group with cars on training rides and stuff, and they've all been descending. So I'm a bit more hesitant where I don't take as many risks or like trust it as so much in the earlier parts of the races. In the final, I'll send it whatever, it's worth the risk. But yeah, I definitely take it a bit more cautious than I used to descending, just because of the fear of crashing again and being injured.
It's so
But
fast. Like, you do not get the sense of how fast it is when you're watching TV.
yeah, especially with the Vuelta, like we had some not pretty insane, but like they were uh, dramatic downhills with
Yeah.
lots of turns, and especially with the weather. That was mainly, it would have been completely fine without the rain, but then you add the element of the rain, and yeah, it makes it go up another 3 levels.
Yeah, for sure. And the women are starting to go faster, as are men, but the women are starting to go faster and faster, so the descending is faster and faster.
Yeah, no, it's definitely playing a big role in the outcome of races like stage 4, was it? They went over a climb, and Anna van der Breggen, who just came back from retirement, she actually got away because she's just an incredible descender. It's insane to watch her. Like she's beautiful on the bike, her pedal stroke and everything, but then when she's on the downhill too, it's just I didn't watch it back, but she got away on the downhill just because of her skills. And it's not that there were bad descenders in her group. There were a lot of exceptional down descenders, but yeah, she attacked on the downhill and was just gone and won the stage.
How much are you watching back? I mean, it sounds like you watch the sprints afterwards.
Yeah, normally I watch back all the stages or just like what I don't know what happened. If it was the final of like the climbing day or whatever, I would watch it back. But yeah, the at the Vuelta, most of the days were late starts and then longer transfers in the evening and then the morning. So I didn't have a lot of time to like do race recap after racing. So you race, you finish, you go on the trainer, you're on the bus for an hour and a half. You go, you get massage, dinner, bedtime. And then the next day you sleep in as long as you can till breakfast, and then you're on the bus again, driving to the next stage. So I haven't watched them all back, but normally I would watch like, especially for the sprints with the director and debrief and discuss some things. But yeah, normally I do a lot of race analysis.
That's so cool. I mean, that's such an addition also is the TV coverage now of women's racing.
Yeah, it's really beneficial to see the TV time going up. It is disappointing sometimes because, yeah, a lot of riders do support for their leaders early on in the stage, especially at the or stage races where sometimes the main points come in the middle of the stage, and then they do all this work on the front, and then their efforts they never get seen. And a lot of the exciting racing comes a bit earlier with attacking, breakaways, but you only see the finals of the favorites or something. So yeah, I hope that TV time can expand a bit, because you look at the men's Giro right now is from flag drop till the end, and
I
it's
know.
5.5 hours of racing, and then
Ugh.
at the Vuelta we had like 30K of racing. So I think I would really love to see women's TV time increase more.
Oh, absolutely. That is such a discrepancy between the two. I would too.
Yeah.
And you're right. You miss so much. I mean, it sounds like you wouldn't, like, oh yeah, we'll just watch the end. but a lot of it is already determined by the time we can see it. Yeah. Where do you weigh in on if the Vuelta and the other, I'm going to put in quotes, Grand Tours, if they're actually Grand Tours?
Yeah, so we were having this discussion. I don't know. It was one of the races, and the team was like, "Oh, is it a Grand Tour? Is it not?" I kind of think it's like a week-long stage race. I know I want to give it the respect and say it's a Grand Tour, but I would love to see it get up to like 2 weeks and then call it a Grand Tour because yeah, we have some nice stage races that are 5 days, 6 days long, and they're not called Grand Tours, but they're the same length as like the Vuelta, the Giro, or the Tour. So I'm a bit split. I reference them as the Grand Tours because yeah, they're like they go hand in hand with the men's Grand Tours, but at the same time, it kind of just feels like a long stage race sometimes. I don't want to be like, no, it's not a Grand Tour, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not the same as like when I think of a Grand Tour, I'm like thinking of like you're going through a whole 2 week, 3 week stage race and you have to have rest days because it's so long. Like it's grand, it's something special in its own self. So yeah, I would love to see it grow.
Well, I'm 100% with you in that.
Yeah.
What's the longest stage race you've done?
I think the Giro was 9 days one year I did it.
Yeah.
I think so. I think 9 days. Could be wrong.
2 weeks is so much more even than 9 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes it grand. And
I agree.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks would be really nice. And I think it's doable in the future. So yeah, and it doesn't have to be because I feel like women's cycling is going to be going into days where it's like every day they're trying to add an element to make it challenging or difficult. You don't really see a lot of women's stages in the stage races like that are completely flat. Most of them all have some kind of element, or they try and do a flat stage and then a bunch of steep climbs in the end to make it more exciting. But like for the men, you'll have some of the days of the Tour de France where like they're averaging like their recovery power because it's so flat and boring. But it also it allows for people to get opportunities for the sprints, but also recover to make the hard days hard again. Whereas like some of the women's races, like you have hard days every single day. So everyone thinks they can get an opportunity, or everyone is trying to get in a breakaway, or everyone's trying to make their opportunity, like make it so they can win. And it just like, we can't race for 2 weeks straight of just full gas racing. So I think they could add some boring stages and put that in quotes. And actually make them like sprints, but also recovery days for certain riders. So then the hard days are also hard and exciting to watch.
The people that you were talking to, do they have the same feeling that you do about it not being a Grand Tour?
Yeah, that's kind of the general consensus.
Oh, really? Interesting.
At least on my team.
Interesting.
A lot of people call it a Grand Tour, which it's referred to as, but I think a lot of people think it's more just a week-long stage race.
Right. For some reason, I had thought everybody disagreed with me. Of course it's special.
It's special. Like, you can call it a Grand Tour just to make it, like, distinguished. But yeah, I think we've already covered it, but I hope it grows.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's next for you?
I'm back in my apartment for the next few weeks. I'm skipping road nationals and not going back. And then, yeah, I just had a rough spring, so I've decided that it would be better just to recover properly and then do a nice training block before the second half of the season. My next race would be Tour of Britain, June 5th to the 8th. And then a week and a half later, I do the new race on the World Tour calendar, the Copenhagen Sprint. And then, yeah, the other Grand Tours start. So I don't know which ones I'm doing yet. I think I'm leaning more towards doing the Giro. So that would be the next one. So it would be my big block of racing.
You mentioned a couple times during this conversation about having some tough times and having a tough spring. Like, how do you deal with that? And how do you sort of take the information that you've gotten from those bad times and install it into your training or whatever else is necessary? Like, I don't know, like how you take that information and work with it.
It's definitely hard. I think this year, even last year, I went in to the fall of 2023 with really high hopes for 2024 being an Olympic year and everything. And sadly, a car came head on with me in a training ride, and I avoided the car, but crashed pretty bad, fractured my pelvis and tore my glute muscle. And then it was a long road back. And then I got back to Europe and the end of the spring, beginning of summer. And then my second race back, there was a massive pile up in a race and I got a concussion and was out again. And so that meant no Olympics. And then it was just kind of like every single race, I was like, okay, this could be the time, this could be the one to come back for. And I finally had a good feeling. And then something else would happen, whether it be like flattening out of the races or getting caught in a crash and being more injured than I thought I was, and then getting sick. So it's definitely like hard, but yeah, I don't think there's ever going to be like someone who's like, oh, I've had zero issues. Everyone has their own problems and hardships. But I think, yeah, whenever it starts to click, I think it'll be even more sweeter. So that's why I'm just keeping my focus to be like, it has to change at one point. Like it can't, like I can't get taken out or be in the, like even the issues that happened, like it was Milan San Remo for the first women's San Remo this year. I did. And like, it was perfect. The team was leading it out on the left side. I was fifth wheel on my teammate. And then someone on the right side crashed second wheel and just completely dominoed effect. And I got caught in the crash and that was the end of my race. And it's like, I was in the right position, doing everything right, ticking all the boxes, and like something out of my control happens. So I'm like, I'm still motivated because I know I'm doing the right things. I'm doing like nutrition as well, my recovery as well, the training is good. So I know it'll have to click someday, and that's what keeps me motivated. But there are definitely days when I doubt it. I'm like, I'm doing everything.
Yeah, cycling is also very, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say cruel, but it is very hard often when these unexpected crashes and whatnot happen.
Yes, it's definitely a cruel sport.
Well, good luck. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we reconnected, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, that was great. Thank you.
Well, that was fun getting to hear from Megan again, all grown up. I remember talking to her way back when, and she was impressive even then. I've loved following her career, her successes. I'm glad to bring those to you all. As always, thank you listeners for tuning in. Check out this week's show notes page for links related to the episode and ways to find out more about Megan. For example, she coaches. So if you're interested in that, take a look at hearhersports.com. Also, find a link to our affiliate partner, Do Yoga With Me. If you are looking for yoga you can do at home, Do Yoga With Me is fantastic. Support Hear Her Sports by joining Do Yoga With Me classes from the show notes page of this episode, or go to the support tab on our website at hearhersports.com/support. That's it for this week. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.